Nice, a little twist and shout to bring us back on the program on this Wednesday. Zach Gelb here with you, flying solo on WHIP Radio in Philadelphia, taking you up until noon Eastern time. To me, this time of the year, there's no one better to talk college basketball with than the former Virginia Tech head coach, and now he is a superstar at ESPN, and that's our good buddy, Seth Greenberg. Seth, it's Zach Gelb here in Philly. Thanks for a few minutes. How are you, my friend?
Zach, how is life at the 215?
Life is doing great for me. However, for the Temple basketball team, they're still upset and playing with an angry passion about not getting into the NCAA tournament. You saw Temple this year play Kansas, and they blew Kansas out of the gym by 25, and Kansas had an RPI of 2. Are you surprised that Temple didn't make the tournament? Because that's a question we're still wondering here about on Temple's campus.
Yeah, I was disappointed. I thought that Temple, if you look at their resume with Morgan and Coleman, they were a different basketball team. Everyone had blemishes. When you get to the bottom of the selection process, everyone had blemishes, but very few people had a win, over a team like Kansas. I think it's more of what it says about the American Conference. The American Conference is not getting the respect maybe that they wish they got. It doesn't have the reputation. Memphis was down, and I think that really hurt the conference. And, it hurt everyone else in the conference. Memphis is good, and all of a sudden those wins become quality wins, and they help you build your resume. But yeah, I was disappointed. I was disappointed with Duff because I thought he did not a good job, but a great job with his basketball team. They played hard. They played together. That's improved. I mean, Bond improved as the season went along, and it was fun to watch. And I was happy for their team, and disappointed that they didn't get an opportunity. But now they have a chance to get to New York, and they'll be playing when most teams aren't playing.
You know what it's like to not get into the NCAA tournament and have to settle for the NIT. You know I love you, but the job that Fran Dunphy has done, I agree with you, to motivate those players, all those seniors that know, hey, we wanted to get back to the NCAA tournament all year long and bring back that Temple tradition, and now we have to settle for the NIT. Dunphy got those guys to play a style of basketball that they're playing with angry style of basketball. They're playing with passion. That's a good coaching job by Dunphy.
Well, he's a terrific coach. I mean, Fred Duffy's one of the best coaches in our profession. He's a terrific teacher. He's a great communicator. He's got a toughness about him that the players respond to. I mean, Duff is just Duff. He's really, really talented. He's really good, and his players play for him.
Do you fear, because Phil Martelli was on our show, and so was Steve Donahue, the coaches of St. Joe's and Penn, respectively, they fear that statement that Scott Barnes said about the eye test, and they think that, Martelli said this specifically, the quote was, the Power 5 conferences are hijacking the NCAA tournament. Should these non-Power 5 conferences have a sense of apprehension about their future status in this NCAA tournament?
I don't think so. I think it's cyclical. I mean, the eye test, I'm quite honest with you, if you look at the eye test, you'd probably like Temple. I mean, they passed it, they defended, they were physical, they had scorers, they had the lead point guard. I mean, what's there not to like about Temple's team? If you really think about it, we always, again, I've been in the situation. You always want to, figure out who, why, where. My biggest thing is everybody needs to come up with a set criteria. And what I mean by that is, give us a criteria that says, all right, this is the most important thing. If it's non-conference schedule, it's non-conference schedule. If it's wins against the projected field, it's wins against the projected field. But give us a criteria that we can say, all right, this is what it is. And then, you can kind of get a feel for, where you stand as a team and as a program, in the process. And to me, that's my biggest problem with the process.
I want to keep it in the Big Five because Villanova had an early exit out of the NCAA tournament, and I get it. It happens especially when you live and die by the 3 ball. But if you had to summarize Villanova's season, how would you do that?
Spectacular. There's only one way to describe Villanova's season this past year. Spectacular. It is a spectacular season. And anyone who doesn't say that really doesn't get it. Jay got more out of that team. I mean, they're a team without a pro, and they're in position to, get a number 1 seed. They took on all challengers early in the season. If you think about it, I mean, some of those teams were down, but they won the games. Whether it's, the Syracuses or the VCUs or whomever else they played in non-conference, the Michigans, I think. He got his team to play unselfishly, got his team to play hard, he got his team to play consistently. There's nothing short of spectacular this season that Villanova had. They picked a bad day to have a bad day. They didn't make shots that day, and when you don't make shots, you know what happens? You usually lose.
Is Jay Wright a good coach, or is he a great coach, Seth?
I think he's a terrific coach because guys play for him. I think he's an absolutely terrific basketball coach. Guys like to play for him. They trust him. They buy into him. He gives them enough freedom to play, but he gives them the discipline on the defensive end. I think the guy's just everyone, look, everyone's jealous of Jay Wright. Look, here he is, this handsome guy. He's well-dressed. He never says the wrong thing. He always has a smile on his face. He deals with adversity with class and poise. I mean, it's almost, annoying. He's a terrific coach, and he's even a better guy. And that's the thing that people don't realize. Jay's just a really terrific guy. I mean, and a good guy to be around, and a coach's coach.
You're a well-dressed guy, too, on ESPN. You've been looking sharp these days, and you've just been spewing great basketball knowledge. Who picks out the Seth Greenberg's wardrobe for ESPN?
That's Seth Greenberg.
Really?
Since left my coach today. No, I dress myself. Come on, Zach. Come on. I'm a New Yorker. If I can't dress, what can I do? Look, I got to look. My clothes got to look good because we don't want people looking at the dome.
Well, I know you do have a wife and you have 3 beautiful children, so I thought that maybe they would pick out your clothes.
They just critique everything.
Fair enough. We're talking to Seth Greenberg from ESPN, former head coach at Virginia Tech. Coach, if you had to pick one active coach now in all of NCAA basketball to win you one game in March, who are you picking?
One game in March, probably one of 2 guys. It'd either be Tom Izzo or Pitino. I think you give those guys time, and they are really, really good. Tom he does a great job of creating a cause. He does a great job of figuring out the essence of his opponent and what he's going to give and what he's going to take away. His teams usually are terrific in time and score situations, which I think is very important. So I would say Izzo is about as good as it gets in those types of situations.
I agree with you.
And Rick Pitino's terrific as well. I mean, Rick does a fabulous job, of preparing his team. Getting that team into the Sweet 16 was a heck of a job. But it's hard to go against Cal as well. I mean, think what Cal's done. Who has more pressure on him than John Calipari?
No one.
And yet he handles it with grace. And they play hard. They play for each other. They trust each other. And it's fun to watch.
I love Tom Izzo, and that was my answer when I was kicking this question around with a few buddies over the weekend. And each and every year he finds himself making a deep run into the NCAA tournament. I had them actually in my bracket, and my bracket wasn't that great this year, going to the Elite Eight, defeating Oklahoma coming up for the stretch of games on Thursday and Friday. Why does MSU match up so well up against Oklahoma?
They can guard the perimeter. I mean, when you play Oklahoma, you've got to defend the perimeter. I mean, that's the most important thing. And, you're talking about, Isaiah Cousins, you're talking about Jordan Woodard, you're talking about Buddy Hield. And I think that individually, Michigan State's actually not a great defensive team, but collectively, they are. And I think that's the key. And, I think that they've got a toughness. They're going to rebound the basketball. And as long as Denzel Valentine and Brandon Dawson stay out of foul trouble, Michigan State wins that game.
A few more questions with Seth Greenberg from ESPN. Kentucky, West Virginia is a fascinating matchup to me because Huggins' team is so aggressive on defense and they can rebound the basketball, and we know how good Kentucky is, being undefeated and also having a superior defensive team. If you were Huggins this week, coming up for this game on Thursday, how would you prepare your basketball team to try to take down the monster that is Kentucky?
Exactly the way he's doing it. I mean, the key to this game, I've said this for 3 months. The key to beating Kentucky is control the tempo and the rhythm of the basketball game, the tempo of the game with your offense, the rhythm of the game with your defense. And, that's what West Virginia potentially can do. They run a 5-man passing, cutting motion. They can run clock. Then they drive you an offensive rebound. They rebound 40% of the missed shots. Defensively, they extend their defense to the full court, the three-quarter court, and the half court. They continually trap you and try to turn you over. They create an easy offense out of their defense. And then finally, they've got a toughness about them. Then there's going to be no back down. Now, here's the key to the game. 1, can West Virginia make enough threes? 2, how will the game be officiated? Because one thing West Virginia does do is they foul a lot. foul Kentucky and put them in the double bonus early, you have no chance to win.
Who wins Wisconsin UNC?
I think Wisconsin's going to win the game. They make fewer mistakes. The best things Wisconsin does takes away from the best things Carolina does. They don't give you fast break points. They don't put you on a foul line. They don't turn it over and give you, runouts, and they don't give you second shots. Wisconsin's an efficient offensive team. They've got a number of tough matchups, including Kaminsky, and they don't make mistakes. They do not turn the ball over. And Carolina needs to turn people over to have a chance to win.
Final one here with Seth Greenberg. And Seth, I have to remind you about this each and every time I bring you on the show. When I was back in high school, I did beat you in a bet for the NCAA tournament, and I won myself some nice Virginia Tech gear that I still wear to this day when I'm going to sleep and stuff like that. But the bet was about...
You can do that Virginia Tech gear? Wash your car with it.
Fine, I'll throw it out. I'll wash it out tonight. My car does need a wash. But what I do have to ask you, though, is your Final Four out of these remaining teams, how many teams do you have left in your Final Four? Who do you see getting in the Final Four, and who wins your championship?
I got 3 of the 4. I had Villanova going. I was a little, obviously, emotional with my daughter being a student there. But I've actually got 13 of the 6 teams alive. So that's pretty good. But I have Kentucky winning it. I have Kentucky and Arizona playing in the semifinals. I actually have Arizona beating Wisconsin. I had Duke and Villanova meeting head-to-head. I actually had Villanova spreading them out. A little emotional on that one. Now I would say it's going to be Michigan State, Duke. I think that Duke wins that game, and even in a rematch game. I still think Kentucky's going to win the whole thing.
I had Kentucky Villanova in my championship game as well, and I'll agree with you. Kentucky wins the whole thing.
Religious for a Temple guy.
Right? Was your daughter the piccolo player for Villanova?
No.
Okay.
She's the volleyball player for Villanova.
Gotcha. Well, Seth, we always appreciate you giving us a few minutes. Thanks so much, my friend.
Hi, man. Thanks. Be good, bud.
You too. There's Seth Greenberg, the great Seth Greenberg from ESPN. No one better than him this time of the year talking college basketball. Time in the studio is 11:29. Straight up, 215-204-WHIP is the number. When we get back, I don't have a problem with what Jimmy Rollins said yesterday, but there's some people out there that are saying Jimmy Rollins is a superstar. I'll tell you why he isn't a superstar coming up next.